All right. I want to clarify that a mistake has been made. Some incorrect information on my part. I want to clear the air. I want to correct the record. Um, I've done some research. I've kind of consulted some experts in the field, found out what the consensus is, and it turns out that some of the figures and calculations I've been making were definitely in error. And so it is in my best interest to clarify. Where I had been saying that the appropriate gratuity for, like, you know, the basic performance or service being 10%, that adequate service gets you 10%. I was incorrect. It turns out this has changed, and I'm going to provide a link in the description of this video from one of the sources that I consulted, but this one was most fascinating. Definitely applies to the town in which I work. Hear from the experts themselves. And basically, I was in error. I was undercutting myself by 50%. So 18 to 20% is an adequate tip for adequate service. You're going to order, you need to expect to tip about 20%. And if you can't afford that, you can't afford to order. If you can afford that and you choose not to, you're scum. Let me tell you why. When you get people who don't understand tipping or don't know how to tip, and you suggest or you inform them, you educate them, they will either try and justify why it's better not to, cheapness, selfishness, asshole, or they will say, oh, I didn't know that, shit, and they will correct it. It may affect their ordering habits. So 18 to 20% for adequate service, and there is a plus 5% for any significant, distinct instance or trend throughout the experience of the server going out of their way to provide, to impress, or to take care of the table. If this person is not just making you a priority, but, like, you know, they're doing a great job, or you notice they're kicking ass with everyone and they're keeping up, or it's a really heavy night and they're still keeping their head above water. Any of these things, be generous. Especially if it's a busy night. If they're busy and they're still getting you service in anything of a reasonable amount of time, double your tip. That 18 to 20% is for, yeah, we got our food an hour later, but the restaurant was elbow to elbow the entire time. Yeah. But if they're super ultra busy, go, you know, and you still get great service and it comes right to you, man, make it worth it. Make it worth their while. So, to the other people that would say, well, I shouldn't have to. Okay. Let's pay the servers above minimum wage. And not only that, but if you were to say you're going to wait tables for $10 an hour, there would be no servers. If you said you're going to deliver food in your own vehicle for $10 an hour flat, there would be no delivery people. Period. So, I'll tell you what I was figuring at 10%. This makes me about $10 an hour in tips. Maybe tips and runs depending, but the run money I get right now is not like it used to be. Back in the day, it was $1.25 per run and sometimes an extra $1 or 75 cents if you had to go outside of city limits. Then they shrank the delivery area and stopped doing the extra charge, increased the delivery charge to the customer, and now pay the drivers 35 cents a mile. Now, if I was driving a fuel-efficient 4-cylinder car that's modern, that'd be fine and dandy. Personally, I'm driving a V8 truck with a 6-liter gasoline engine and 410 towing gears in the back. The best I can do is 5 miles a gallon in town. And that's when it's running right. 35 cents a mile is about half the gas money. The other half comes out of tips, comes out of yesterday's money, because it can't come out of today's money on the hourly wage if I'm only getting 35 cents an hour at the end of the day on mileage. That rest of that, if I'm not getting a tip at this house, right? I go to this house. I stand here for 10 minutes and listen to them argue about who's going to answer the damn door inside. And I already know this address, so I know they ain't going to tip. And I'm standing here trying to be cool and provide the good service and do the right thing no matter what, even though I know I'm not going to earn a tip on this one. My truck is running. I'm getting paid $8 an hour for 10 minutes time of not getting tips elsewhere at 20% or better. If you want to make that worth the person's time, 10% is $8 an hour plus $10 an hour to keep me there. But the adequate is 20%. Do you want to pay me $28 an hour to stand there and wait on dumbasses to come to the door so they can bitch about their food or just close the door in your face? Cool. I'll do that for $28 an hour flat. What do you think that's going to do to the cost of your food? They've got to pay me that rate the entire 10 or 11 hours that I'm there, including the time I'm cleaning, including the time I'm not taking deliveries, including the time I'm going to other people's houses. There are costs that an employer has when they have employees. They have to pay per employee on certain kinds of taxes, state fees, licensing, insurance, etc. Some of this is percentage-based, which means the more they pay, the more they have to pay. So this directly and vastly impacts employers. There are two ways to do this. You go with it, you raise the prices. You avoid it by doing contract instead of employment. That can make it so that maybe you don't have to pay into unemployment. You can save some money on things you don't have to pay into. A lot of places do that. And if they're paying adequately, that's fine. But you're also, when you're a contractor, you're not putting into Social Security. The last 7 years employment before this spring, I was an independent contractor on a 1099 with no withholdings. So I haven't paid into Social Security in 5 years plus. This impacts things. Long term down the line, this impacts things. Now, what this does to your cost of product at the end as a user is the customer is going to have an upward of 50% increase. And what I mean is a doubling. Not your $20 order becomes $30. Your $20 order becomes $40. Okay? Now your $20 order with a 20% tip is $24 if I, well, no, let me think. 10% of 20 is 2, right? Yeah, $4. Okay, 20% minimum on a $20 order, then it's a $4 tip. So the 2 pizzas and a wing or whatever, they came to about 20 something. If it's 21, it should be 25 or 26. This is how it should be done. So the easiest way to do it is plus 5 at least, but calculate it. And 10 to 20% is easy. 10% is the same number, hack off the end 0. 20%, double the number. But instead of doubling your tip, imagine doubling the cost of your entire order to cover all of the employees who need to be able to make that kind of money. Because like I said, if it's $10 an hour flat, even 15, if it's under 20 flat, because income tax comes out of that, FICA comes out of that, state tax comes out of that, unemployment tax half comes out of that. If you make above a certain amount of money, I'm pretty sure the law requires that they provide health insurance, which means they pay half and you pay half. So these things take out of it. So if you want to do it like that, if there's going to be these costs, okay, well then I guess what you need to really do is you need to set your actual base pay at something like 30 to 35 to account for all this other stuff so that the drivers are taking home $28 an hour, no less. What's that do to your food cost? What's that do to your product cost is what I mean. Because right now they're paying all of this on an $8 an hour thing and trusting the customers to do the gratuity, which costs them on average $4 to $5 per order, not double or double and a half the cost of their order. But that's what the price will do to be able to pay everyone. I'm not in my car literally handing food constantly in an eternal and ever moment, always happening sense for 10 straight hours to earn that money. There are There are lulls. There are other times. And guess what? When you're having a slow time at work and you're on the clock, you still get paid what you get paid. So, remember that. If you don't tip, if you know people that don't tip, you need to tell them this. You watch someone stiff a driver, go, oh my God, did you not tip? You need to embarrass your friends and family who don't tip. I'm not saying this just for my benefit. There's a lot of people in the service industry, and everybody feels this way. Everybody feels this way. If you've ever worked for tips, you understand this. And then there's the whole, be careful how you treat the people that handle and prepare your food. I mean, I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm just saying you never know what kind of psychos there might be from time to time that might take offense at the fact that they're being mistreated by customers. So, 18 to 20% is the current consensus. I will provide a link in the description when I get this uploading, when I head to work. And you can look up what is the standard amount for a tip. And I had been saying 10%. It turns out that I was being extremely, extremely conservative about that number. It was, in many ways, a humility, not trying to be entitled kind of thing, to say, look, dude, you're going to tip. This is what it needs to be. Well, it come to find out, everywhere, the acceptable amount has basically doubled from what I thought it was. So that was first order of business, correct that mistake. So we got that, we got that. We understand how much it would cost the customer to, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to order, well, you damn sure can't afford double the cost or more. Well, how are we going to read the compensation for their vehicle? Why don't they just have a fleet of cars? Oh, yeah, let's have a small business purchase a fleet of cars. What will that do to the price of the product? People don't think about this. I do. Item number 2. Let me prepare a cigarette. Pardon me a moment. Item number 2. I have heard people suggest that a customer rating system for the workers, is too close to social credit for comfort. And while I can see where they're coming from on this, I disagree. The reason is, now this can open up dangerous avenues, yes. The reason I disagree is, it's not the government keeping track. And it's really not even a company keeping track. It's the workers keeping track. But it needs to be done through the companies in a way that the company acknowledges. If not for the people doing the job, the service and product would not exist. And certainly would not be distributed to customers. And the number one reason that people leave a job is bad management. The number 2 reason is customer mistreatment. So if you've got managers that drive people away, people won't stay. Customers suffer. So businesses should be looking for that too, obviously. But as far as the other employees go, the people who aren't in management or don't want to be in management are not cut out for management. They still have to deal with the customers. So imagine a database of bad tippers. Imagine a database of rude customers. Not so that it affects their otherwise daily lives, but so that it affects the priority of their service. Have an algorithmic priority system. Have it go hourly or whatever that it does to try and keep orders current. And 5-star addresses, excellent customers known to tip well, get prioritized, and have it stated. Have it stated to the customer. A sticker on the box, a mailer, the sticker on the box is probably the best bet. They want to complain, you say, well, here, go to this website. They'll go to the website, it'll say, our customer rating system is set up so that if you're good to the servers will make sure you get right to it, and if you're rude to them or you don't provide them adequate compensation, they're not going to make it a priority, and neither are we. Like, I would love for a company to do that, so that then it's like, you think we're being rude, try being a server, and try and urge through cultural and social norms to get people to be more compassionate, more generous, basically act more excellent toward each other. Because being the change you want to see in the world only goes so far. Convincing others to also be that change only goes so far. You run into groupthink issues, you run into resistance and obstinance and egos and all this other stuff. But if everybody just is nicer to everybody else, be excellent to each other, more so than you normally would, or whatever. If everybody did that, the world would change very, very quickly. It sounds like some hokey crap that I would have called my dad out for and said, dude, you know that's not realistic. But the truth is, of all the things I've seen, is when people's attitudes all change, things change very quickly. So, I think nothing would change people's attitudes faster than a customer rating system that had direct effects on the quality of their service based on a system within the company. Yeah, that could, if it was one of those, we're going to sell our bad customer database to the government and they're going to look at people in the IRS or whatever, but it would be fantastic if not only the customers knew that 20% is an appropriate tip, but that they knew that if they were bullshit customers, we would give them a 1-star, and it's like, bro, you can order it, and you'll be lucky if you get your food, because we're going to be taking all these, it's like your food will be delivered when there are no 3 or higher star rated customers waiting. That would change some fucking minds, or people would be like, fuck that, I'm going somewhere else. What if every place did that? You'd be like, you know what, go through drive-through, bitch. Take your fucking food card to Walmart, we have pizza at home. Pizza at home is fucking ham sandwich. So that's what I got for this one. I'll upload this while I'm working. There will be a link in the description. Friday night was decent, but it was not great. But everybody had an average good night. Last night, for me and a few other people, it was trash. For a couple of people, it was decent, but I don't think it was spectacular for all, or for anyone. Tonight we're going to see how that goes too. Sunday night crowd is a little different from Saturday, and typically if I have a good or decent Friday and my Saturday sucks, hopefully Sunday's not too bad. Unfortunately, I also have to work Monday and Tuesday before I get days off, but I have talked to the boss about my schedule, and now I will get to have my Mondays off, which is good because Monday's kind of my Sabbath day. So, sign off on this one. Don't forget, 18 to 20% is now considered the norm. You can look this up. And watch the link in the description. And regarding the link in the description, I will say this. 15 to 20% of a population demographic as customers will over-tip to make sure that they are not considered among the other 80 to 85%. Or what did I say, 20 to 25? So yeah, it's about an 80-20, 75-25 if we're being generous. So 25% will over-tip to make up for the other 75% who basically don't tip. Or hand back some chump change. Or honestly, most of the time are like, count the change back to me, I want every penny. Those are the can't afford to tip, can't afford to order, or can afford to tip and choose not to order. and nothing in between. It literally will be, you'll get a couple pennies or a buck constituting a 1 or 2% tip, or you will get nothing 75% of the time. The other 25% of the time, you will get $10, $15. Like, Jesus, man, that's a lot. In a different population demographic, which far outnumbers the previously mentioned population demographic, the average seems to be about 60% tip, 40% no tip. And among the no tip is the scummy, here's the dollar, or, keep that quarter. And among the 60%, it typically is the appropriate at least 15%, if not more. And like I said, it's turning out that the consensus has changed on what an acceptable tip is. This is also from customers, not just from servers saying this. So, yeah, people work to make money. People don't work because they feel like, driving extra miles on their own vehicle to go serve food to ungrateful people that treat them like shit. And, if not for the tipping system, I'll reiterate, your food cost would more than double as a customer in order to compensate the staff. And the staff's adequate compensation because of overhead would be something like $30 an hour so that they can take home $25 to $28 an hour. Anything less than that, and there will be no staff. There will be a shortage, there will be no service, there will be no product, there will be no convenient people cook food and bring it directly to your lazy ass at home. Have a good day.